Hello and welcome back to Pillars of Eternity. So, we are going to do the final quest. We have to jump down the pit with Helia's blessing, and then, well, oh wow, we're straight into it.
I remember when I was a girl, and the missionaries came and told us about the gods. They said we could see them in the stars.
Uh-huh.
I remember when I heard that, I snuck out at night and climbed the watchtower in the old fort because I wanted to see them better. That fort burned down a few years ago when we cast the missionaries out. It was the missionaries who set fire to it. They didn't want us to be able to use it. Shame. There was history in that fort.
They'll do a lot worse if they ever return. Those missionaries are all inquisitors now. Strange to think they're the same people underneath, but I suppose you would know. You called this place home once. Do you worry about it? I worry about you. You should be more worried about yourself. Half the guards still plot your death at night.
I miscalculated many things since this began. I'm relieved you weren't one of them. It's a good thing we didn't hang you. I always knew this path would have consequences, but I never wanted to see Kratom suffer on my behalf. I don't think I can stay here any longer. I am told the Inquisition is gathering an army, that they have sent messengers to bargain with rulers from distant lands. Kratom is not built to withstand a siege. If war is coming, I should be doing what Theos is doing. I will need allies. Allies in a stronghold that can resist an invading army.
You can feel words formed long ago rising your throat like a toxic black bile. Have you thought about Oceanus?
Oceanus. They have held off many would-be invaders, and their king has no love of the Inquisition's faith. I wonder, would he listen?
Oh, I'm gonna guess that did not go well. Anyway, as I was saying, up here, we have to go and return all the souls. We have accepted Helia's boon, and we're going to return all the souls that were basically lost during the hollowborn stuff, or using all the Adra machines, to their intended bodies, I believe is what Helia wants us to do. We'll see if that's still how we feel at the end of this, but that's where we have come in. Is that loot I left on the ground? Of course, we need our spirit residue. There's nothing we could ever do without it. Right. Into the pit we go. Oh, that's Theos, I think.
Another turn, Inquisitor.
Theos signals some unseen attendant standing beside a large crank. I'm gonna guess it went really bad.
I ask again, Jovara Ixensios, do you confess to these heresies of which you stand accused?
He waits, but Eora only stares straight ahead, her face stony, the creak of her restraints the only sound.
Do you confess to apostasy?
I confess to renouncing a mistake.
Do you confess to conspiracy against the one true faith?
I confess to opening minds.
Do you confess to false prophecy?
I confess to following a false prophet.
Indeed. And where might we find this heretic?
He wears the robes of a Grand Inquisitor.
You have no followers here, heretic. Your lies hold no sway in the court of the penitents.
Only my truth, then.
Another turn.
No! Wait! Wait! I'm ready. I'm ready.
You are ready to give a confession?
I'm ready to hear one from you.
Oh, that's good. Dale shakes his head and points at the Inquisitor, and the scraping grind of rusted gears echoes in your mind as the apparitions fade away. I can't help but feel that we did
You get
actually
to the bottom,
betray her.
holler up here. Let me know if it's safe.
Okay. A great pit lies in the shadow of the statue of Magicka. No light from the surface reaches the bottom, but even so you catch flickers of a ghostly glow in the depths. A wind from the pit buffets you. It isn't cold, but it raises goose flesh along your arms. The wind carries a whisper, low and sibilant. As you look into the pit, souls gather around you. They encase you in a cloud of essence that swirls around your body while you consider your next move. Jump into the pit. Alright then. You jump, trusting in the promises of the gods and the power of the souls to bear you safely down. The sun drop takes your breath away, but the souls catch you, encasing you in a shining, thrumming aura. But while they slow your descent, you can feel that you are falling faster than you should. The essence flowing around you is strong but chaotic. You find yourself drifting towards the wall. The wall, Palxa. Reach for a companion. You reach out and feel a hand, strong and sure. Wrap around your forearm. It tugs you away from the wall just as you feel your toe graze something. You manage to spread your arms and legs in an X, steadying your position and the rate of your descent. You reach the Court of the Penitents, millennia-old stone safely under your feet. Your party is considered high level for the content in Act 4. If you would like, the critical path can be increased in difficulty to give you more of a challenge. The rewards you receive will be the same regardless of the option you choose. Your choice cannot be changed once it has been selected. I think we have to. I mean, it just seems right that the end of the game should be the most difficult. High-level content, please.
After what seems like an eternity, your rapid descent comes to an abrupt end. You remain still for a moment while your heart settles and your eyes adjust, breathing in stale, forgotten air. Before you, a narrow and eroded walkway becomes faintly visible in the dim light, cutting a winding path through a cavern so expansive it seems a world unto itself. In the distance, you can make out the cold gleam of living Adra veins that spike and fork in and out of view from the murky depths beneath, their glow a faint and fleeting guide along the ancient trail. You look above at the opening you jumped through, now barely a speck of light like some distant star alone in the cosmos and forever out of reach. Your only way lies ahead.
This is the point of no return. Let's see.
I think I dislocated my... That's better.
Everyone all right? No shattered knees? Good. Just me, then.
This place is cursed.
I'll take a look.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got something over here.
What is it? Camping supplies. Well, we already have some, but it's good to know that we have a backup if we need it. Yep. Okay. I'm seeing a new thing that we should do here. Perhaps send our trap guy first. What have we got here? A millennium's worth of dust fills these cracks and crevasses of the skeletal relief. Same on that side. This looks very similar to where we started the game.
Ready when you are.
We got spotted instantly. Wow. Okay. That's with our really high stealth. Switch to our sword. We're also fighting enemies that seem like what we fought at the start of the game. It's interesting. This must all be deliberate, but it's pretty cool. Okay. Oh, actually, everybody enters scouting mode. There's no point for you not to be. Pick up the loot. And then highest mechanics go disarm.
That'll do it. I'm just too
That'll be
good.
us again.
It's a curse.
Okay. Level 13, yeah, it's level 13 traps. Are they level 13 enemies, I would assume then? Maybe they don't let, maybe these enemies aren't max level, they're just higher level. That's alright. Adra animates. Switch to your weapon. Go stun the shadow. You take a step back. These still don't seem as hard as console hot stuff. Switch to your weapon. Start attacking. I mean, we're not yet using like actual stuff to fight these guys. That's fine. Yeah, we got an insta-kill. Switch to your crossbow. You guys all attack the shade. Oh, maybe use your bow. There we go. Yeah. I don't know, this seems very easy compared to what we've been facing. It could be that high level content was high level for like the base game still.
This fight is mine. You can
Not sure, although I think the high level content thing got added in with the DLC because this is obviously wasn't scaled to DLC levels, but we'll see. Grab that. Grab that. Okay. How big is this area? It's not big at all. Okay, and that's the pit where we fell down.
Fire casts light in dark places.
Yes, thank you, Durant. It is a great line. Guardian... A soul guardian pillar. Okay. Wolf attack that one. We will shoot that one. I said we should all shoot the same one. Eddie will run over here. Pelagina is going to attack that one. We're going to attack that one, along with Sagini. Back two are also going to attack that one. Go.
You should have run.
That's good. Are these vessels? These are vessels. Right. Run forward and then use your heal damage. Nice. Holy Radiance should do a ton on these guys. Backline. Attack the animates. Yeah, I love our backline firing squad. It is fantastic. This one. Get it? Yup. The insta-kill after the death. I love that one. Right. Grab that. No idea what that does. The ancient Adra still bears the impression of 1,000 souls broken upon it. Your soul burns remembering suffering.
Does the flame reveal?
Is this a trap? Yeah. There's no way that wasn't a trap. Okay. Ooh. A two-handed Morning Star. 25% to destroy spirits on a hit. Now, normally I wouldn't be interested, but given all we're doing is fighting spirits, that seems reasonably... Although we're fighting vessels, actually, a lot more. But I'll keep it for Pelagina if we need it, basically. That's what I'm getting at there. As we are fighting a lot of spirits. If they become difficult, that could be useful. I think I locked the camera. There we go. We'll unlock it again. Oh, that's neat. What's this one? This skull pillar. Is that what these are? They look kind of like skulls. The pillar tugs at your essence. A pulse from the world itself moves through it. Okay. I'm guessing the downstairs is where we need to go. Like this bit. So. I'm just going to walk around this area. What have we got in here? We have Soul Adra Prison. Okay. Attacking.
That's how it's done.
Yep. Murder Squad. Next target. Actually, Durance can probably use his heal now to do damage. A huge amount of them. Yeah, that'll do it. This is so easy. Like, these guys, the Adra at least survive a hit. I suspect it's because I think our party's really set up for low, damage reduction people. If we're a party that was set up really for slow attacks for high damage reduction, we might have problems with a large number of enemies, perhaps, because we wouldn't be able to attack quick enough. I'm not sure. Anyway. It seems like this is a good path we took.
Found it.
For these fights. Probably because these fights are the ones we have most in the game. Okay, we disarm the freezing pillar trap. Kill the vessels. Right. Durance, run forward. And use your ability.
Dead on.
Run back. Firing squad. Choose a target. Perfect. That one should be dead. Wolfie, I'll do your pathing for you. There we go. Attack that enemy. Nice. Should be a quick kill. There we go. Next one. We didn't actually kill that one. That's fine. We can still move on to the next one. There we go. It's working out well. That one dead. Let's kill the animats, actually. No, we'll leave the advert animats for the insta-kill. There we go. We'll kill this one, and Pallegina should attack the big guy. Well, the guy still has a lot of health. Cool. Nice and easy. Okay. Grab all of that. Grab all of that.
If secrets whisper here, I shall listen.
What's this one? This one is the Soul Guardian
I'll
pillar.
have this open in no time. That'll do it.
Oh, I had nothing in it. Wow. That's kind of disappointment.
Margren's fire casts
Let's just
light
put a
in
blue
dark
item here.
places.
Got some money. Oh, and a pillar. Okay. Door opens. Iovara. A column of Adra rises above you, stoic and silent. Its rigid layers a measuring stick for the passing of ages. It feels to you as a thick block of ice, and you perceive buried deep in its core a dim flickering flame, all but extinguished, yet preserved against the ravages of the elements. As you approach, the flame seems to steady and draw strength, and the layers separating it from you melt away. You are bathed in its glow, a bright beacon in the gloom. The glow seems to fade, as though you had adjusted to its intensity, and where it was, Iovara seeps into existence, an eodilic shade hovering above the moist prison floor. Though ageless, she appears somehow different to you now, a slight stoop in her carriage, perhaps, or a trace of sunkenness in her eyes. There is a broad scar across her face, fibrous and wormy where the flames once lapped, unhealed even in death.
My old pupil. You are a welcome sight, but a worrying one as well. Do you still wander lost in the darkness after all these many years?
Not to move away from this, but I love how the portrait changed. Like just subtly, but it did change. That's neat.
You are so different now from who you were then, yet much remains the same. Old troubles with a new face. What is it that has brought you here?
It would seem I have unfinished business here pretty much covers it.
I'd hoped after our last discussion you would find what you sought. Has it eluded you all this time? I can only guess your presence here has something to do with Theos. The energy of this place changes when he is near. I don't know what he has done, but I do know of the souls that pass through here now. They do not come by choice.
Theos diverted them from the cycle. He seeks to empower Wodica, and to blame Animancy for the damage he's caused.
After all this time, he would still stand against the tide.
You knew me when Theos did. There's something I need to know about that time.
I will tell you what I remember.
There's something about that lifetime my soul can't let go of. I need to know what it is, and I'm running out of time. I see moments from that life of you, of the Inquisition, of Theos.
I can see his influence, still hanging like a weight about your neck. So it always was. He had inspired something in you. We spoke of him the last time you were here also. It was just after the trial. You were agitated. I think because you started to consider that what I was teaching may have been true.
And what was that? Iovara's mouth tightens and her brow furrows, a look of pity. Her eyes shift back and forth between each of yours, as though looking for something that would help her decide whether to speak.
That the gods aren't real.
Oh. Okay. Pallegina throws her head back and laughs gleefully. Of course not. It all makes sense now.
She's not serious.
Perhaps not to her. Many are those whom the gods have scorned. This is petty retribution.
That doesn't seem possible.
What I taught was that the gods whose faith we had been spreading were not gods at all, but something else entirely. Something created by people.
And who did this, and for what?
They were conceived by Engwyth, a society of high minds and broad concerns. Theos' people. In their time, every people worshipped its own gods. Sometimes they warred over it. After a few wars of their own, the Engwythans sought an end to it. They devoted all their energy to finding the true creators. Generation after generation, they prodded and worked the stitching of the world and unlocked its secrets. One day, they found an answer. Except the answer was no answer at all. There were no gods to be found. Or if there ever were, they were gone. It shook them, this finding. If they could discover this on their own, how long until others would? How long before war and chaos reigned over a world without consequence? But they had mastered many things in their pursuit of these answers. And with their mastery, they crafted their own gods to fill the void, and sent missionaries to the corners of the world to spread their faith.
How did you discover this?
The Engwythan missionaries all knew it, but they never told the rest of us. They meant it to be a secret that died with them. And in the end, they allowed their bloodlines to fade from memory. I had been assigned to join a few of them at a temple. I found the door to their chambers closed, but the room was stone and the door thin. Their voices carried. I heard enough. I investigated the things they spoke of, and everything was there, just as they said it'd be.
Later on, after I left the Order, a few Engwythans found my words persuasive and joined my cause. They revealed what I did not already know. This is why you started your own faith.
I never thought of it as faith, but I think you are right to call it that. Let the world see. Let them decide what to do. That was my faith. I became a missionary because the gods brought me hope that I wanted to bring to others. For a time, the truth sent me to a dark place. Then the day came when I realized nothing had changed, that I still had a purpose, and the purpose was the same and it was worth living for. I began questioning the other missionaries in public, exposing their parlor tricks. In time, their following became mine.
Is it true what you taught?
You asked me this once before. Nothing I can say would be any proof, and it may be certainty your soul craves. Resolution. But if you are bound for the same place Theos directs these souls, you will see for yourself, as you once did. Everyone faces this truth at one time or another. Few confront it. Few have the stomach to ask what if. And in avoiding the question, they deny themselves an identity of their own.
Iovara scans her audience in silence, her eyes thoughtful, lingering on each member of your company in turn, finding interest in things unseen.
What if all the tragedy, all the persecution, came in defense of an imposter?
That's not... That can't be right. Aethys, he's done miracles for people.
The power of the gods is undeniable. The truth of the story they weave is not. What if it were forbidden knowledge rather than fault that earned your doom? What of your guilt?
I have seen with my own eyes the deceptions of my goddess. The Watcher has shown me as much. But it was not until now that I understood how truly desperate she was. The depths of her deception.
You speak of her deceptions, but what of your own? Was it her words that led you down your path? Or was it the absence of her words? A gap that you filled with your own broken thoughts?
Beads of sweat coalesce on Durance's forehead and trickle down the sides of his face in streaming rivulets, as though he were a block of ice standing before a great pyre.
What if our burdens come to us not because they are meant to be, but because they happen to be?
They shape us all the same. It doesn't matter how I drew the small tooth, or even that Pursock had become a deer. The task fell to me, and I completed it.
Okay, that's good. Good answer.
What if even mastery over all things cannot answer the most basic of questions?
I stopped asking those questions long ago. It is enough to care for those we love with the time we have in this life.
What if the cycle of birth and death is nothing more than a tool of endless preoccupation?
The grieving mother returns, Iovara's gaze, nodding her head almost imperceptibly. For a moment, all is silent. Iovara nods back, seemingly moved by some unspoken understanding. What if we can be assured of nothing? Okay, so we've got an answer set here. Then only the only value is the things we create ourselves. Then we best build our own strength so we can bear it. Then only when we cease to exist as beings can peace be found. Then it is the questions that have always posed more value than their answers. Then the fewer people who realize that, the better. All we do is endure. Well, it's been our thing for the whole kind of playthrough. Then it is the questions that have always posed more value than their answers.
A question is a journey, and a journey is what makes us who we are, it's true. But when one journey leads only to the next, then where may one find rest? I ask these things not to trouble you, but to show why they must be confronted. No answer is simple, but somewhere between them all lies a truth so beautiful, not even a god could conceive it. Do we not owe ourselves a chance to find our part in it?
We do. Even without assurances, there is still truth.
That is truly what you believe. Then you are a far different person than the one I knew. I've been alone here with my thoughts for so long now. I've found peace with my failures and with my punishment. I no longer curse fate for what might have been. But there is one thing that has clawed and scraped at my mind all these years. One thing that will not be put to rest until I know. Until I understand.
For the first time, hints of doubt trace her serene visage.
I need to know why you chose to remain with the Inquisition, even after you'd learned the truth. Do you remember?
As she asked, the memory springs to your mind immediately, as though it had just happened. Your teachings were a threat to all I believe in. I resented you. I wanted to please the gods. Your capture brought me glory. I was afraid of what Theos might do if I didn't agree to do it. I don't think I had a reason. I just did it. I'm sorry there are no assurances. I don't know. What do we think? Probably wasn't a please the gods. Capture brought me glory. No. Resented. No. Teachings were a threat. Maybe. Afraid of Theos. I don't think so. I don't think I had a reason. Oh, that could kind of fit in, but no, we want to give her an actual reason. Let's think about it. Let's go for the I resented you. See how that goes.
I think maybe I suspected. I just didn't want to believe it. Not from you. When you showed up at my camp that day, I thought it would be like it had been before. I was careless. If you resented me then, I bear the blame. Good. Good. The things I taught, the things I believed, I needed to hear that. I needed to know it wasn't because...
Because I thought Theos was right? I needed to know it wasn't because, after everything you'd learned, you'd still rather believe in a lie. If that is the conclusion people reach once they know everything, then my purpose has been a mistake. Did my opinion matter so much to you?
You were a blank slate to me once. A blank slate that I had taught the wrong things. I'd given you a false faith. I had to know I could undo what I had done, redirect you to embrace the truth. You had heard both sides, seen everything. If not you, then who?
You're never going to be able to convince everyone of anything, true or not. There will always be dissent.
I expected dissent, but I needed to know that true faith would prevail. Perhaps I've been wrong to place so much importance on one person's actions. It was all I could do to feel like there was an answer. Even knowing what you've told me, some part of me knows it doesn't truly answer what I wished to know, nor will an eternity of silent contemplation. I will have only my guesses and suspicions, and that will have to do. And what of your understanding of our past? Are you at ease with the choice you made?
I see the world differently now than I once did. I regret what I did to you and wish your forgiveness.
There is nothing to forgive. The fault was always mine. I led you down the path that led to Theos. When I tried to steer you back, it was too late. To have taught someone wrong is far worse than to have done wrong yourself. Long have I wished to make amends for this, but the time has long since passed. At first I thought this might be the source of your soul's anguish, but now I see I was mistaken. You are not divided on this matter. You have put it behind you. It is with Theos that your agony lies, in sun and shadow. Your questions are not for me, but for him. And it may be that only an answer from the mouth of Theos himself will satisfy your needs. Yet if there is anything I can tell you that would be of use, ask and you shall know.
Are you bound here until the end of time?
In a matter of speaking. This is Braeth Yamen, the court of the penitents. Souls are confined here until they repent. They must beg the forgiveness of a god, pledge their soul to them, and they will be lifted from this place to the world above. In truth, they receive leniency, but not true mercy. The spite of Woodica is eternal. They linger above, at the site of the old court, and are not permitted to leave the island, forever severed from the cycle. This prison was full once in the days of the Inquisition, but time weathers all things, even will. I'm the only tenant who remains. Yet, I feel their presence strongly now, as it was in the beginning. You have brought many of them here. They cry out for the judgment of Theos. You have struck some bargain with the gods, then.
Let's see what we got here. The other gods aid me because they want Theos destroyed. I owe them no debt. Better to be on their side than Wodica's. I'm using the gods to further my own ends. Better to be on their side than Wodica's.
Better to be on no side at all. Wodica may be the most dangerous of the gods, but make no mistake. Engwith built gods from ideals, and an ideal on its own is a grotesque and vicious thing. But these souls, these forgiven the gods have bequeathed you like chattel. They were loyal followers in life. They will be with you to the very end.
Why don't you repent? You could be free of this place.
Last time someone asked me that, I was bound to an iron wheel with a broken spine. There are many things I've come to doubt about the choices I made in life, but that trial was my one moment of certainty, even without a chorus of gods to tell me I had been right. The gods need to be reminded that we have a spirit, and that spirit is proof against their power. They have the power to manipulate and confuse and ruin us, but not to change our will. I will remain here until the world crumbles and fades from existence, with joy in my heart, knowing I've shown them what they truly are.
Okay, this place, Sun and Shadow, what is it? I could tell you what I believe, but again, it would be no proof. I have only what I have seen, and what others have told me about it. There is only one man who can tell you now, who knows it to a certainty, and you shall face him soon enough. I will leave you to see it for yourself, make your own judgments, better for your soul that way, I think. How is it you speak Adirian? I speak no language now but the wordless expressions of the spirit. It is through my connection to you that I am able to draw upon your words and form them as my own. Do you know what it is I need from Theos?
I could not say for sure. But you have been to Sun and Shadow before, and it came at a crossroads in your life, when much of what you knew had been upended. I have to believe it will come to you there. Your concerns then were of loyalty and trust and the gods. Everything I told you seemed to send you further into doubt. His words mattered to you when you knew him then. After you and I spoke, you went immediately to seek him out. Perhaps you simply sought confirmation from the man you trusted. If something from that time still troubles you, it may be something he told you then, or refused to tell you. He keeps secrets better than any in this world.
Why has Theos done this?
He cares only for the secret he keeps locked away. He destroys anyone who might discover it, no matter their chances. That's why he's always favored Woodica. It isn't in her love of promises or justice. It's her disregard for the rules. Her willingness to do what is necessary. To Theos, she's not a deity, but an ally with which to conspire. When her power waxes, she does as she pleases with this realm, as well as hers. And she wants that secret guarded as much as he. If Theos succeeds, there will be a shift in the balance of power among the gods. Woodica was vanquished once, when the other gods decided she had gone too far, and her power diminished. With this infusion, there is no telling what she will do. The only certainty is that there will be chaos in their realm, as well as ours.
How can I get Theos to tell me what I need to know?
You will not find a more resolute being on all of Eora. There is no offer you could make, nor spell you could cast, nor pain you could inflict that would make him reveal what he hides. But I see you have become a watcher in this life. Perhaps in defeat, when he can no longer defend himself, you might learn something from him.
It's time for me to go.
Theos will not wait for you. If you do not catch up to him now, you may never find him again.
Okay, the gods come in the soul of their forgiven. If you repent, you could join them. Help me strike the final blow against Theos. Your defiance here is an illusion. You are a slave to the gods, bound to the rules, stuck in their system. Your continued existence is proof of the gods' dominion over all of us. If you hadn't planted doubt in my mind long ago, I'd be living a normal life right now. Before I go, I'll repay you for this curse. Then I must waste... I think the final one. Then I will waste no more time. Farewell, Eora.
For my part in leading you to Theos in the very beginning, I hope you can forgive me. I hope whatever final guidance I've given you here proves more useful. If ever we should meet again, in this life or any other, I hope to find you at peace.
Ooh. Well, that was interesting. Well, I guess we're going to have to go fight Theos now. Guys, come back here. Also, we're going to have to kill some Adra animates who were in this corridor while we had the long conversation. Okay. There we go. There's some stairs down. I think that's our path, right? Yeah. That is our path down. Well, let's go and confront Theos then. Grab these rock camping supplies. I actually don't need to camp. We do need to talk to Eora, though.
Well, doesn't that just beat all? Here I was, wondering all this time whether all these terrible things were people's fault or the gods. Turns out they might be the same thing. Wonder how things would have gone different 15 years ago if the Raid Sarens had been told their god was made in some forge or kiln someplace. Would we still have gone to war?
People were starving. They would have rebelled sooner or later. It was their god who made them believe they were right. I doubt they would have thought if they'd known he was fallible. No point wondering about what we'll never know. Let's say that people were starving. They would have rebelled sooner or later.
I could see the rebellion still happening, but I don't know that they would have invaded.
Looks down at the ground, drumming his fingers against his side restlessly. Then, when he speaks again, he seems half to himself.
I don't know. When Woden left for war, we, had a fight. As brothers will.
What about?
About him going off to war. He was set on it. But my parents warned him. They said you get a new country with every trip across the border, but your god, You only get the one. Me? I didn't know who was right. All I knew was I didn't want him to go. It's the same for families as it is for gods. You only get the one. I said every vicious thing I could think of, trying to change his mind. He brushed it off. Just got me madder, of course, him being so calm. He said I should come with him, but he'd understand if I didn't want to. I told him he'd better be able to face his god one day and answer for what he'd done. He said he'd keep that in mind. And then, he was gone. By the time I'd cooled off, months had passed. One morning it dawns on me that my brother always knew better than me. If he was so sure of what he was doing, then I should be there with him. I packed my things and was on the road that same morning. Of course, what I didn't know then was he'd already changed his mind. By that time, he was dead on that field.
Do you think he went to Waidwin because of what you'd said to him?
Crossed my mind. You live in a place like Gilded Vale. You don't have a whole lot else to do other than think about things you don't want to think about. I hope that wasn't it. I hope he went there because it's what he thought was right. But it seems I'm not meant to know.
So, if you'd left with him, you'd have known why he changed his mind.
If I'd have left with him, we'd both be dead, so I don't know why I bother thinking about it. I found my own way in the end, and it wasn't my brother's and it wasn't my god's. I don't know if it was right. But I couldn't abide what Waidwin was doing to his own. God or not. I don't regret it. Whether Waidwin was Eothas, well, it hardly seems to matter after what we just heard. And all these questions I've been trying to figure out. I think I just miss my brother.
He smiles faintly, and when he breathes, the air seems to flow more freely through his lungs. Well, let's be on our way.
Still one more mess we gotta straighten out. Come on, then. I still owe you one.
One more mess. Well, let's go and deal with it. Down to see Theos.
Eyes open.
Now we have to search for him in the darkness. Well, I suspect he's over here, but, let's go search.
Anyone here in Echo?
No, there's nothing this way. What have we got here? We got some phases, we got some stuff. We should save before we go further. Now that I think about it, just an idea. Okay, are these things going to turn and attack us, or are we... Ooh, is that something we can have a look at? The Walk of Souls we've discovered. Okay, that's weird. Okay.
Look at the size of this place.
Many spirits stir here, edged with anger, violence.
We light our own path now, Watcher.
Can you do that again? I had something in my eye. I missed most of it.
Yeah. That was crazy. Okay. We got here another body with a diamond in it. We can't go over there. But we must go over there at some point. More bodies. No enemies, just bodies.
I'll let Margaret.
Oh, there's our enemy.
I'll let Margaret.
Within shade. We are quite capable of just destroying. Okay. That's fine. Double lightning strike seems to do a job there. More hits in. That looks like someone's been here more recently. These guys, right? Maybe? No, guess not. Dragon with a chain around its neck? Guardian's Dome. Okay. I can't seem to click on that. Can't find the pixel. Sorry, we'll never know what's going on with that one. Alright, another one of these things. To blast out our soul from. Oh! They do come to life. And now there's a Shadow Drake. Alright then. Attack. Pallegina, go for this one. See, Pallegina has to go for this one. Edier can go for that one. Zagini wants to back off. Use your heal to do damage. Grieving Mother, how do these guys feel about being charmed? They can be charmed. Okay. Charm
I'm
them.
ready. Dead on!
Nice. In fact, they're quite easy to charm, really. You do that again to another one of them if we wanted to. Yeah, this one. Quick charm. Nice. We got a couple of them now attacking the big guy. Attack this one. There we go. Just get the one at the back done first. You guys now attack the Sigurth in Shade, our friendly one. Now attack the big guy. Okay. Whoa, we still have our weapon out. I just realized our melee weapon. We could probably go range and just walk away. There we go. Nice.
Let's burn this
The last
away.
one.
What?
Cool. Really wasn't that big a deal, all things considered. Over here. Let's continue forward.
Laying low.
There. Just keep going. How big is this area? It's not that big. We're actually coming near the end of it. Okay. Although it does twist back round on itself. Oh, is this the way back if we want to go? A lone segment of bridge rises over the ruins of an ancient city. It looks stable enough. Well, the wide gap leaves little room for error. That'll get us into the center. That might be the way we have to take, actually. Let's do it. Let's jump. Palxa gets a running start, leaps over the gap. However, Palxa cries on landing and collapses on the other side in a tangle of limbs. Oh.
Hey.
But we also got camping supplies, so jump back. And then I guess we're going to camp.
What?
Not quite ideal, but alright.
Nothing will slip
Works.
past me.
Oh, the next thing. Let's do it again. Send our soul out to light up the area. Oh, and now we're getting attacked. Sagini, this one. Wolf, this one. Durant's heal instantly. You're going for that one. Eddie, or this one, I guess. And we're going to
Ready,
shoot
Watcher.
that
My
one. Go. We should switch back to our melee weapon and go stun it.
Not even.
There we go. It's not too bad. There is a Drake here, but we're going to ignore it while we fight the Shades. That's fine. We killed that. We can probably stun the Drake and be fine there. Edier can knock over this one. Oh, he should also have his engage on. Not that he necessarily needs it. Just because I'll forget to turn it on when we actually need it. You guys attack the Drake with me. And Sagini's attacking that one. Nice. Everyone can attack the Drake now, apart from Edier, who's attacking this Shade at the back. And the Drake is about to die, I think. Not before the Shade did, though. Okay. Nice. Grab the loot. All of the loot. All the loot. I'll make sure we have it. There's a way through somewhere else. Where is that? Or is that the way? I mean,
I'll take a look.
that would seem like the way in if I was to choose a way in. But we'll keep having a look around. Okay. More shades.
burn this
These
away.
ones aren't going to randomly jump out at us, though. Which is nice. Oh, we still have our melee weapon out. Oops. That's fine. I think our dagger is probably about equal, actually. We actually have a 100% chance of hitting with the dagger as well, which is nice. But our ranged weapon is probably the better option, because we can go ranged and then switch to melee if we need to. We can't go melee and switch to ranged if we need to, really. Because there's no situation where that makes sense. Anyway. Unless we just can't reach the enemy in melee. Okay, so we got a scroll there. Seems like exploring the rest of this area basically just gets us loot. Which is fine. Alright with that. Definitely take the loot while it's here. So we can either go in here or we can go down. It doesn't really tell us which one's the right option. We'll quick save. Just in case we want to come back. I think we'll go down the stairs though. I don't think this is the right... Ah, it won't let us progress down the stairs. Okay. Well, that pretty much answers the question, doesn't it? This is our way forward. In we go. Okay. This looks pretty epic. I don't imagine that we're going to have, like, a sneak opportunity here, so we're just going to walk in. Oh, wait. Do we have to go all the way around? Okay. Loot.
Are you ready to take the oath? To spread the word of the gods to the lost and heathen?
Okay. There's loot as we go along here.
I am trusting you to remain loyal to the gods in this. If you do not, you will have greater powers than me to answer to. But you will answer to me as well.
Alright.
I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
Okay. Still going round.
This is a missionary, same as I was. Taught the wrong things as I was.
Okay.
Osionis. They have held off many would-be invaders.
You are ready to give a confession?
I am ready to hear one from you.
Okay. Well, let's see what Theos has to say. Theos, where are you? We complete our mission. Our quest. Oh, there we go. Ah. That is a much bigger Adram machine. Hello, Theos. You've come to a circular room, grand and domed, its walls lined with adra and trimmed with copper. The far end, a great pillar of adra pierces the floor from below like a ragged spike, its shimmering texture giving the illusion of boundless depth. Your thoughts are yours and not yours, and they are all questions. At the base of the pillar stands Theos, a look of concern on his face as he notes your approach. You have something you want to ask him, one question above all others, spinning madly in your mind, but you don't dare ask it yet. You need some admission from him first, some hint of the veracity of your suspicions.
You are far from your post, Inquisitor. What brings you here?
Your mind races, weighing different angles of approach, your emotions barely in check. Was the entire Inquisition based on a lie? Let's go straight to the heart. That's the main question.
The Inquisition was based on the need to cut the flesh from a rotting wound.
What is this place?
We are in a sanctum holy to Woodica. There are others like it in service to the other gods. I come here often to pray for her counsel, and in this space I may be assured that she hears me.
Who are the statues?
They are monuments to Woodica's greatest servants among my people. I hope to join them myself one day, but my work is not yet complete.
That machine behind you, what does it do?
It has many uses, but its purpose is to bring structure to the chaos that surrounds it.
Was Iovara telling the truth?
That woman sought only to destroy the foundations of peace and civility that my people sacrificed everything to build.
You are shaking now, having lost all patience for tact. No more evasions. You have to know. Everything you believed, everything you have done for the gods. Did you lie to me when you said the gods would absolve my sins? Theos says nothing. Are there no gods?
What is a god? A higher power? A rewarder of good deeds and punisher of the wicked? Something men can turn to in their darkest moments when their days seem only like bridges from one tragedy to the next. Our gods are all these things.
Are there no gods?
We are in a sacred place within earshot of the gods themselves. This is not the time. You've been through much these past few months. You will return home and you will rest. When you feel you have recovered, you may rejoin us at the trials. The Inquisition is far from over, and I will have need of you. There are many who continue to spread the lies of the apostate. The Inquisition will not end until we have pronounced judgment on all of them.
His eyes linger on you. There is no mistaking the threat behind it, and your rage shrinks at the image of an iron wheel in your mind, monolithic and caked with the dry blood of thousands. You do not ask your question again.
How did you find it?
I didn't. It was Lady Webb.
Another in a string of acts of petty defiance. For all her knowledge, she always preferred spite over reason.
She loved
Then
you.
she should have obeyed. I ask one thing of all my followers. She was incapable. A waste of rare talent and intellect.
Her talent and intellect were too great for her to live as your servant.
What of your cohorts, then? They have followed you to their deaths. Is it loyalty that brings them here? Or is it, as my agents suggest, that they have no direction of their own? You worshipped Aethys, did you not?
Your spies are good. What gave me away? The cape?
Yet when your god needed you the most, you chose your country.
Edir frowns, irritated.
We were being invaded. Not by anyone who was acting like a god.
Then I should think your hometown gave you a hero's welcome when you returned.
They made cake. Hard to blame people for losing faith when it's the gods who are misbehaving.
The gods argue over how best to prevent Kith society from destroying itself. These disruptions would not be necessary were mortal instinct not so diseased.
Durant stares at Theos with a beast snarl. Theos watches him calmly.
You built a weapon that delivered exactly as promised.
I served my goddess as you did yours.
Yet the other builders were slain. 11 of a dozen. Why not you? Were you somehow different? Redeemable in your god's sight?
Whatever desire I had to be redeemed in her eyes was weakness, purged by the Watcher's sight.
Or was it merely that your goddess wanted you dead as well, and your delusions of importance prevented you from seeing the obvious?
A whore's beguiling charms, nothing more. But the spell's broke now, Theos. The trial's over. I know friend from foe, and I've come here now to see a foe repaid.
You were able to destroy a god because another god wished it. Without her hand to guide you, you could not strike at a god any more than you could strike the sky. You are impotent, and not just from the pox. I understand your duke's bells gave you a mission.
Their orders do not absolve me of my greater responsibility to the safety and well-being of the republics.
You might want to skip over this one, Theos. Don't want to pick a fight you can't win.
Yet you disobeyed. Something you already have a reputation for. They will know, of course. If it had been for a worthy cause, they might have forgiven you. But I don't see them pursuing animancy after seeing what it's done here. They trusted you, and you disappointed, as you always have. And you will again be disowned.
The parents scold, but the children are safe. Whether animancy research continues in the republics or not, they will survive. For now, that's enough. In any case, I wouldn't be so smug about my fate, Theos. I imagine Woodica responds to disappointment much more severely than even my dukes.
You are far from home, dwarf.
I knew my hunt would send me a long way from Masuk. It was a challenge I was glad to undertake for my village.
A journey, then? It must be of some import to take you so far and to last so long.
Anything worth doing comes at great cost.
So it was worth it, then, to tell a dying beast of things it neither understood nor had memory of. You are here because you are lost. The gods cannot reach everyone, I'm afraid. May you fare better in your next lives.
He directs his gaze at you. He didn't talk to grieving mother. Interesting. Is that continuing with her nobody really notices her thing?
I gather you have had your soul awakened. Why else would you shadow my footsteps like some stray mongrel? You think I have something to offer you, but our business was concluded long ago.
What do you know of our business?
You think your abilities only flow in one direction. That isn't how it works, I'm afraid. Not for me. For all that you saw of my soul in the sanitarium, I saw as much of yours.
I lived my life by the lies you told. You owe me the truth.
I answered your questions once. That your soul is not fit to accept the answers is of little concern to me. I lied to no one. Not to you, not to anyone. The gods are real. They are everything we need them to be, and the world is better for it.
Okay, let's see what our options. You denied a generation its place in the world. You're saying this somehow improves things. You've lied to everyone, yourself most of all. You convinced me once the gods would absolve me of my guilt. There was no one to absolve either of us of our crimes. Let's go for you denied a generation its place in the world.
The heart of this country has skipped a beat. Nothing more. I have done far worse. I plunged the peaceful kingdom of Telosus into civil war. I slew the monarch of Desantio, whose people never knew hardship under his rule, and replaced him with a cruel despot who brought them to ruin. When plague arrived at the great city of Arborensis, I saw to it that the cure did not. They piled their dead outside the city in heaps that rose above their walls.
This is supposed to diminish the damage you've done here?
It is to show the proper perspective. There was a time, back when your soul was still a shapeless mist, when the world believed only in false gods. Thousands of them. Gods that told them to take slaves. Gods that told them to make war upon their neighbors and devour the slain. Gods that told them to burn their children alive and cover themselves in the ashes as a sign of their faith. But all that changed when they learned of the true gods. Our gods. All those misshapen, bestial instincts melted beneath the radiance of our God's majesty. You could see it in their eyes. That dull emptiness replaced with the glimmer of a kindled spark.
The spark of false hope.
There is no false hope. Only hope for things that never come. Have you imagined this existence? The one the apostate would have created. We are not all so virtuous as she. Without our gods, the most wicked, the most tyrannical, they would take that power for themselves. But more than that, it would be a hollow existence. All mysteries forever unanswered. All purposes constructed from meaninglessness. No endings to bring closure. Only a wheel, turning without mercy, grinding our spirits to dust.
Your way comes at too great a cost.
It is the least of all possible costs. Are you so dense as to think a faithless world would not be ridden with calamity? All I have seen, the millennia of experience. I will not be dissuaded from this course. This is the only way.
You're blind to think yours is the only way. You're controlled by your own doubts.
We are all controlled by our own doubts. Better that we should be relieved of them. With your soul and thousands of others, I will see this world purged of its suffering. Hear me, Woodica. Your servant calls for aid.
fight starting? Or did the game crash?
Rook 10!
We're okay. Oh dear.
Rift.
Ah. Okay. You have Wodika's judges. Realistically, Edir and Pallegina have to fight one each. I don't even know what their resistances are. Get over here. We're gonna have to do this. We could try something like... What's our new one? Steps on the wheel. When paralyzed and sicken, one person. It's against Will. His will's probably high. Let's go and stun him. Right. Durance. Defense shield. Go. Take a step back. I don't care if you have to disengage.
My thoughts.
Let's see. Theos is actually already hurt slightly. Oh my god, look at that deflection. It's because he has shields for the faithful on him. Okay, for 100 seconds. We want to try stunning him. Durance. Accuracy, I think, here. Because we need it to actually hit. We hit again there. Okay, off yourself.
My thoughts.
Right, sever his soul. That didn't seem to work. Okay. Blind him. Mark him as a target. Pallegina, how are you doing against the headsman? Not so well. You're doing alright. I'd sworn enemy him. Okay. Durance, heal. This is a vessel, so actually she could insta-kill it, I just realized. Oh, what's this? Oh, he jumps into one, or he gives devotion. Oh, devotion of the faithless move? Ooh, that looks like that hurt. Okay. She could still insta-kill that. That could work. What's Theos got on him? He's still hittable. He's immune to everything? He's immune to everything. Okay. I think we have to change target. Attack the judge. Yeah, that seems to be working. What happened to this one? Pallegina insta-killed it. Oh, that's too good. Attack Theos. Okay, he's still marked, so hit him with this one. Durance, is there something you can do to him? I guess try and lower his deflection, although is that based off will to lower deflection? It's against fortitude. Yeah, it's not going to hit. We have to do a spell that will hopefully... I think we just have to buff ourselves. It's actually Durance. Give ourselves all extra damage reduction. Okay. Oh wait, we're all hostile to each other? That was weird. Durance, back off. Oh, it changed all of our weapons. That's why we're messed up. That's fine. Grieving Mother. What we got here? Slow down enemies. Isolate a single enemy from the world. Now we want defensive. We want the defensive one. Durance. A heal would be really useful right about now. Like on as many as you can. Actually, on the people who are in melee combat.
Can't get a good shot like this.
Okay.
My...
That's fine. Keep hitting Theos. He's injured. Can you knock him down, Edir? Knock him down. Also turn off that, because we don't need it anymore. Sagini. Hit him with one of those. Might as well use Fire Sword. You have nothing else here. We could try steps to the wheel on the wheel and try and hit him like that. See if that works. That worked. He is He did get paralyzed. Okay. Grieving Mother has nothing, so why don't you just try disintegrating him? And yeah, that should work. I think Eddie, try knocking him down. Oh, we're about to fall. Durance, heal everyone.
Lava room beyond sea.
You're gonna have to res. Okay. Res us. That's fine. We're back up. Power heal. It's fine. There's something else we're missing. We got 10 here. We could try blinding and confusing Theos. See how that works. You're still trying to hit. Try using that other type of attack. Edier has nothing else he could do. He could try and raise his allies' deflection, actually, now that we're only fighting one target. Palagina, Fire Sword again, I think.
Hey.
Yeah. Okay, anything else that needs to be done? Nothing from you. Edier's got nothing. We have a couple that aren't really that useful. I think his attack, apart from Durance, who needs to continue throwing in things all over the place. Alright, he needs to self-heal. And then he could probably give us all a chance of critical hit. Yeah, that'll work like that, I think. These guys are the ones who really need it.
Forgive me, Woodica.
We killed him. At your feet rests the body of Theos, hollow. The dense wrinkles shaped by the silent shouldering of eternal burden now smoothed across his colour-drained face. His soul remains still for a moment, defenceless, its energies expended in defeat. It lies sprawled at his body like a death shroud.
That's the servant down, and the mistress still to go. A good start, worthy of being built upon.
After journeying for lifetimes, I can't imagine his failure, knowing it was all for nothing.
Thousands of souls he has tortured. Would that he could live those sufferings 1,000 times himself.
In his own way, Theos must have truly believed he was caring for the people of Eora, protecting them from themselves. A shame his soul won't have a chance to reflect on his errors before it enters the wheel.
Some point, you have to look at the things your god is telling you to do, and ask yourself if it's worth it.
Let's explore his soul. With a deep breath, you plunge into Theos' soul, and where in Brackenbury it had been a maze of narrow corridors and dead ends, now it is expansive and borderless, its walls crumbling into heaps like the ruins of Ingwith as you pass through them. You travel for what seems like ages, rushing to a known destination, a memory you'd glimpsed once before. At last you see it, no more than a pinprick of light at the end of a long tunnel, expanding slowly at first, then quickly as you near. You come out into the room you're standing in now, but it is new and pristine and filled with people, thousands of them, all turned towards the great Adra pillar and the machine that encases it. Theo stands at the machine, and you're one with them now. You look out at the crowd, at the faces of shriveled old men and cherub-cheeked little girls, at mothers bouncing infants to quiet them and fathers clasping their children's restless hands and watching you with somber acceptance. A woman with tears in her eyes gives you a small nod. You turn back towards the machine. Your breath constricts beneath the weight of unwanted knowledge, preparing yourself to set out alone on a journey without end. You close your eyes and open them again to find the machine still in front of you, beckoning. You take your place in front of it and place your hands upon a large mechanical disc at the base of the great crystal column and speak a single word. Giant rings creak to life, building speed, setting arrays of carved draconic mouths aglow and sending tremors through the platform beneath you. The entire room shakes now with the force of the accelerating machine, all sounds drowned out by its deep, deafening thrum. Brilliant tendrils of light arc outward from the pillar in all directions. As you look over your shoulder, you see them engulfing the crowd, burning them brightly like hot iron. One by one, the tendrils disappear, leaving ashen effigies where people once stood, many of them disintegrating into grey heaps under the stress of the tremors. You look above to the Adra pillar, and a glowing spherical mass has begun to coalesce atop the column where the arcs converge. It grows and pulses, translucent and globulous like some immense chrysalis, suspended in slow rotation as though it were being spun from arcs of light. When the last arc disappears, the spectral mass hangs a moment, no longer rotating, so bright you must shield your eyes with an outstretched hand. It seems to you as though it is looking at you. You bow your head in acknowledgement and look back up to see it melt into the pillar like warm candle wax. The pillar flares with a flash of light, bright as the sun itself, then fades to darkness. The machine slows down to an abrupt halt, and when the last echoes of its grinding cogs has passed, the chamber is still. You are alone. From all sides, reality begins to bleed in through the memory, and you find yourself in your own skin once more, looking down on Theos' lifeless body. You sense a listlessness to Theos' soul, an overwhelming fatigue that hinders its immediate escape. It makes it vulnerable to manipulation. You feel as though your victory has given you some kind of hold over it, and you're able to do with it as you please. Okay, let's see what we got. We can return Theos to the cycle. You will remember this. Remember that no man can hide from the truth forever, and all you've done was in futility. Your memory shall be penance. You can tear his soul apart. I do not envy you, Theos. I, of all people, realize the sway memories can hold. It is time you were granted peace. We can banish his soul to Berith Eman. Theos, the ninth Arcanon. There can be no forgiveness for your deeds, only justice. You shall escape judgment no longer. You destroy the memories contained within. Your memory makes you a slave to your own past. Perhaps it can't be undone, but it can be forgotten. It shall trouble neither of us any longer. Or we can tear his soul apart, saying, you caused me great suffering, Theos. You do not deserve to exist. I think we're going to send him back to the cycle. It seems like the right answer. We're trying to return things back to the way it should be. That's the best way. You will remember this, Theos. Remember that no man can hide from the truth forever. And all you've done was in futility. Your memory shall be your penance.
To apply the teachings of Durance would more immediately satisfy the cravings in my bones. But this is the stronger lesson, for his soul is already marked by his own hand.
Some acts cannot be forgiven, it seems.
A cruelty worthy of this man. Let him know the pain he has wrought. Let his own choices be his punishment.
You can feel the pool of the intricate Adra capillaries that rise up from the depths below the chamber. Many are bound up within the great pillar and would pass to Boudica, but some are filled with the souls of the dead, bound for somewhere else entirely. You know these are the paths of rebirth. Stretching your presence as far as your spirit will allow, you make contact with one such path. Between it and yourself, you open up what feels like a long tunnel, sheer and undulating, like the gullet of some enormous beast. You shift your focus to Theos' soul, clinging weakly to its vanquished shell. With all your concentration, you wrench it free and send it hurtling through the channel until it passes into the Adra vein and can be felt no more. In the stillness that follows, a single word echoes through your mind, a word you spoke when you were one with Theos in ancient memory. Realize it is the word that activates the machine. Okay. All the bits of Theos going into the machine, I assume. Well,
Fine.
People want to talk to us before we move on. Durance?
Ah, the end of the road greets us at last. You fared well, Watcher. Better than any Watcher has right to. Seems you were a field in need of a flame's cleansing. Would that my own trial had produced such an outcome. I had figured myself for the field all this time. But you were the field, and I the darkness. A lesson neither of Durance nor of Margarin. But with that trial's end, a new one begins. A god's trial. And I will stand in judgment without mercy.
Okay. Edier?
Theos, he had hold of your soul from a long time back, seems like. You get what you needed from him?
I got an answer to an old question.
Those can be hard to come by. But maybe that's best. Forces you to find your own footing. You'll be feeling better soon then. Good. That's real good. You got it figured out what you're going to do about all that?
Not
Got
yet.
a lot of people out there thinking they've been abandoned by their gods. There's not much that'll put the fear in you more than that. You can take my word for it. If it was in my power, and I know it's not, but if it was, I'd find a way to give them the courage to face it. Not because they think there's some god looking out for them, but because they've just got it in them. And after what you've been through, though, I'm sure you got your own ideas. Better make it good.
Okay, Sagini?
Never thought I'd see something like this in my travels. Lends a little perspective, doesn't it? To think, the decisions the Angwithans made thousands of years ago still shape our lives today. It would be a shame to deny these souls the chance to find their own way and their own purpose.
What now?
I guess that's up to you, isn't it? Because I'm too short to reach the controls on that thing. For all I know, when you flip the switch, that thing will blast us all as far as Nasitak. Whatever happens, though, I'm glad we journeyed together.
I told you I'd get you home.
So you did. It's been an honor.
Okay. Grieving mother?
Theos may be gone, but his crimes, the wounds he has inflicted, remain. And yet, if we would free ourselves from his legacy, you must first free the souls he has trapped. His work cannot be undone. Chaining these souls to broken lives will only prolong it.
I'm not sure I agree.
It is not the easy choice, Watcher. But much ill comes from forcing the world into a shape that does not fit it. We must allow for the mercies of the cycle to heal the lost, and live with our wounds for a time.
Okay. Pallegina?
So much for Theos, then. Now you have a chance to set things right, back to the proper order of things. It will take the Dyrwood generations to recover, but at least these souls will find their way back to the wheel, as it should be.
Okay. Well, let's go and see what's gonna happen. Yeah, we'll go ourselves. As you approach the machine, the path underfoot suddenly changes to a cobbled road. If you hadn't experienced visions like this already in Tir Evron, you'd be tempted to believe that this machine had sucked you into it and deposited you in the middle of nowhere. The sun blazes overhead, and the rolling meadows and thick forests on either side of the road could be anywhere in the Dyrwood. A shrill cackle turns your head. Standing next to you is a malnourished man, clad in a threadbare loincloth and manacles. His entire body is stripped with lash marks, and there are scarred pits where his nose and ears should be. He stinks of stale sweat and unwashed filth. You notice someone wandering down the road, but the figure's back is to you. The scarred slave has your attention.
You know something of quiet servitude, Watcher. Groveling and simpering before the gods whose aid you need, so that when they finally raise you to a place of power, you can seize what you desire. You have labored at the pleasure of others. That shriveled hag in Hodrit House. Those well-bred thieves with their lordly pretensions. The wretched tribesmen playing out their fantasies of grandeur. And then you cowered and knelt before the gods themselves, begging one paltry favor and receiving riddles and visions in response. And now the gods give you orders and commands, even while you set out to fix what they cannot. Yet what have they offered you?
They offered us the means to stop Boudica and Theos. That's enough for me. Given the breadth of the iron manacle, it's amazing he can raise his bone-thin arm. But he does, and he points to the person walking the other way along the road.
The exiled queen is not an ungrateful patron.
You get a better look of the lone figure and realize she's wearing robes, tattered and singed, but fine nonetheless. On her head is the silhouette of a broken crown. She continues walking, her pace slowed but determined.
Finish the work Theos began. Strengthen Boudica with these souls and allow her to become the most powerful of all the gods, with you as her favored.
What do you mean by her favored? The recipient of Boudica's blessings. She has always had a place for mortals of particular merit. If you help her now, she will become the most powerful of the gods, and you will be the one who made her so. Think of the lifetimes of reward you would reap. The only reward I wish is the joy of pulling bloody shards of her broken crown from my staff when I have finished with her trial. So says your companion, who's been abandoned by his own god. Do you really trust him to make alliances for you? Helping Wodika would mean the secrets of the gods stay hidden. He rubs his hands together, his black eyes gleaming. Safely hidden, yes, from the violent overlords who would cease to fear punishment in the next life, from the heavy-handed masters who would answer to no one. The world needs some schemes, or are the souls of Kith so pure that you would snap the tenuous threads that bind society? I've been working against Wodika this whole time. Why would she thank me now after I've defeated her most loyal servant? A ragged hole in Skane's face wrinkles with disgust. Loyalty and weak. Loyal and weak. Theos proved his inadequacy when he failed to anticipate you. A plan exposed is worse than none at all. But you have proven resourceful, equal to the schemes of the gods. Wodika has a long memory, Watcher, for both friends and foes, and she keeps her oaths. I've explained the alternative, Watcher. Continue as a pawn of the gods or a partner of one. At the end of the road, the figure stops. She turns her head just enough to look over her shoulder. Her face is mostly hidden, but one merciless eye peers at you from the cheek of rippled, scored flesh. I won't help
you. Say that now, but when you're standing in front of the machine, considering the lifetimes and the powers that await you, we'll see what you do.
He continues down the road, and when the sun suddenly drops below the horizon, it plunges you into momentary darkness. You come to your senses in front of the machine. All these evils we've seen, gone all the way back to the Saints' War, that was all Wodika. Imagine if she was stronger on top of all that, on top of it all. The machine. Okay. With your companions bearing witness, you step up to the place where Theos once stood before his people long ago. The great machine lies in front of you, idle, ready. You've seen this machine and others like it in operation. You understand how it works. It is a device for directing souls. As a watcher, it would be a simple matter to influence that direction. Though, as big as the machine is, it might be the last thing you ever do. Speak the command to activate the machine. There's a shrieking of stone grinding against stone as old cogs loosen and begin to turn. You have only moments before the souls will be sent into the Adra vein. This will be your only chance at redirecting them. Okay. Reincarnation. The bodies they were intended for. Disintegrate. Distribute. Return the souls to the bodies they were intended for. We made a bargain with Helia. Even if she isn't a true god, we made a bargain with her and she held up her end. And it seems like probably the right thing to do. We're going to return the souls. You close your eyes and expand your perception outward, taking in the immense totality of tens of thousands of souls orbiting the chamber. Your grasp on the souls is tenuous. You find yourself fighting to keep them all within your influence, and you can feel them slipping away from you as the machine gains speed. A brief moment comes when it feels as though you hold all of them at once, and their force is so great that it feels as though they will tear you apart. In that moment, you dedicate your entire being to bending their orbit, channeling their flow in a new direction.
At your command, the ancient device became your instrument, spinning to life with deafening resonance and gathering up the swirling essence like thread on a great spindle. There, in the pale, pulsing glow of the machine that set you on this path long ago, you summoned all your strength, focusing on your objective and blocking out all else. With a single concussive blast that rocked the chamber and sent you tumbling to the ground, you freed the souls from their stasis. Exhausted, your consciousness slipping away, your last sight was of the machine, dark and dormant. Then your eyes closed, and sleep welcomed you at long last. After coming to and searching for some time, you discovered the route Theos used to enter Sun in Shadow, and embarked on a long and arduous ascent back to the surface. You emerged in Ter Evron after days of tunneling through the rubble Theos had left behind, and when you stepped into the daylight, you were faced with a different Dyrwood than the one you had left. At your direction, the souls diverted by Theos were guided back to the vessels originally meant for them. For the first time, parents of hollowborn children woke to the cries of their infants and looked into their eyes to see them staring back. People fell to their knees where they stood, thanking Helia or Mogren, or even Aethys for their forgiveness of whatever guilt they felt they bore. But for all the relief that had come to some parents, others only found new grief. For many thousands of hollowborn had died during Wideone's legacy, many by their parents' own hands. For those children, there would be no homecoming. Yet the last hollow birth was in the past now, and those parents willing to risk trying for a new child were frequently rewarded, often with twins. Many felt they saw Helia's hand in it, and the year would be remembered as the year of Helia's splendor. Though you had killed Lord Radric in his throne room, so strong was his drive to rid his land of Aethasians that he returned to life as a death guard, a deathless crusader for his brutal cause. With the remains of his humanity stripped away, Radric came to see all the people of Gilded Vale as worshippers of Aethys, and one day he led his forces into the village personally to see them all purged from his lands. Gilded Vale was left a hollow shell, its buildings ruined, and its people slaughtered. Even travelers and would-be squatters knew better than to take refuge inside its borders. Lord Radric returned to Radric's Hold, where he remained, keeping eternal watch over his barren domain. Following the assassinations of Duke Avar Wulfgren and Lady Webb, Defiance Bay was thrown into political upheaval. In the ensuing weeks, the streets had become the domain of looters and blackguards. Few dared to step outside their own doors alone or unarmed. But order would soon come from an unexpected source. House Dominel, realizing that stability was good for business, brought the city's criminal elements in line through a systematic campaign of fear and intimidation. Capitalizing on the mutual antipathy of the Dozens and the Knights of the Crucible, House Dominel continued to manipulate both groups from the shadows, ensuring their decline and eventually supplanting their authority in Defiance Bay. Defiance Bay was served well by the Dominel's rise. Their subtle political maneuvers and lack of legal oversight allowed them to broker a number of favorable trade deals, rekindling the city's economy. Although their cautious approach in the legacy's aftermath had perhaps denied them broad notoriety outside of Defiance Bay, House Dominel's wealth and influence both continued to grow unchecked. Though the machine atop Ter Noaneth had been disabled, it had not seen its last use. Heritage Hill was rebuilt, and no sooner had the first families moved in to resettle the district than members of the Leaden Key, acting under standing orders from their Grand Master, climbed the tower and reactivated the machine. The initiates slew a handful of the new settlers under cover of night and watched as history repeated itself, the victims reanimating and devouring the survivors. After this second incident, the district would remain abandoned.
Definitely
the Duke's
a bad
assassination at the apparent hands of an Animancer had caused catastrophic rioting in the streets of Defiance Bay, and few Animancers survived the first day. Many Dyrwoodens took the end of Wideone's legacy as a sign, both that the gods did not approve of animancy, and that the purging of Animancers in Defiance Bay had been enough to satisfy them. In time, their rage would subside, and a number of surviving Animancers remained in and around Defiance Bay, often taking to the wilds to practice their science without repercussions. Obsidian's renewal brought new vigor and purpose to a god long known for quiet, steady labor. Handicraft saw a revival in the Dyrwood, and no smith wanted for an apprentice. Additionally, Obsidian's restored interest in preservation led to redoubled efforts to survey Engwithan ruins. Animancers and craftsmen alike found much to study, but tensions with Aer Glanfath rose. As for Stalwart, the Battle of Caeron's Scar only strengthened their resolve to unlock the mysteries of Durgan's Steel, and build new marvels with the White Forge. However, Stalwart's ambitions brought them into further conflict with the Red Serens, as more and more impoverished communities gathered at the border and vowed to finish the work of the Iron Flail. It would be many generations before the region saw peace. The Flames That Whisper clan found a cautious peace with Stalwart, particularly once the villagers heard of the aid the ogres had offered against the Eyeless. The clan moved back into the Russet Wood, and as Stalwart grew in prestige, the villagers formed a tighter alliance with their ogre neighbors. Within a generation, ogre traders visited Stalwart, and village hunters were welcome in the Russet Wood. Harmka's death had brought the Devil of Carrick little satisfaction. In time, her taste for vengeance soured. What replaced it was a hunger to feel something, anything, new. Summer had thinned the snowpack twice over when she felt the joint at her elbow first begin to stiffen. She turned her back on the hopes of animancy and civilization and walked east. She pushed through the mountains, past Raid Ceres, and into the broad plains of Ishamiddle. She had forgotten what it was like to simply journey, no goal or destination in mind. Though she felt nothing more than the steady thump of her feet on the road, the endless horizons and grassy meadows were new to her. She measured her time in the gradual rusting of her body and was satisfied. Her movements slowed, but so did the world around her. Waist-high grasses undulated and tacked in the wind, as gradual as the tides. Sparrows and blackjays made steady pilgrimages across the sky, each flap of their wings a solemn salute. She could hardly move when she found something she had never seen before, the ocean. With the last of her strength, she pulled herself beneath the water, content at last to feel the movement of currents and the constant caress of the waves. Once Maneha had made peace with her memory, she decided the time had come to face her more recent past. For the first time in decades, she returned home to Rawatai, and she found that it had changed as much as she had. New districts had sprung up along the coast, while others withered into crumbling husks, and the streets had changed their course as surely as rivers. Her parents wept with joy at her return. They still ran the old spice shop, and in its many aromas and flavors, she found memories of the places she'd traveled and the people she'd known. She told her story, bottle by bottle, and began to build a life on the soil she knew best. The fortress of Cad Nua emerged as a bastion of security in the midst of an untamed land, becoming the envy of every thane and earl in Dyrwood. Legend grew over time of its impregnability, and stories of formidable invaders easily scattered by the keep's defenses became popular around the hearths of Dyrwoodanians. After the death of the Master below, a strange quiet fell over the endless paths of Ad Nua. The attacks on the fortress above ceased, Ad Nua's silent titan the closest remaining thing to a master in its musty, forgotten passages. Palagina had gone against the Duke's Bell's orders by inventing a new trade arrangement with the Anamenfath to accommodate the recovering Dyrwoodan market. With the Dyrwood's people still weakened by Widewind's legacy, the Valian republics easily pushed their would-be competitors out of the market. For her outrageous insubordination and audacity, Palagina was banished from the republics. She traveled north in the Eastern Reach, avoiding Valian ports and entering the ranks of the kind wayfarers. Despite her bravery and dedication to those in her care, her strange appearance made her feel like an outsider wherever she went. Haravius took his leave of the party and, after his first bath in years, returned to his nomadic lifestyle. With his homesickness expunged, he found renewed joy and tranquility in his wandering survey of the wilderness. For the first time in his life, he ventured beyond sight of the mountains of Glonfath. During his travels, he penned numerous journals and sketches detailing his travels through frozen tundra, searing desert, and tropical forests. Wherever he went, Haravius left behind stories of the Autumn Druid, a temperamental, one-eyed wise man of the forest known to bring food to lost travelers and unusual advice to anyone willing to ask him a question. Adair chose not to return home to Gilded Vale. Still most comfortable far from cities, he settled in Dyrford, which, like many towns in the Dyrwood, was beginning the slow process of rebuilding. Believing now that it was the obligation of Kith to be the leaders their gods had not, Adair was soon named mayor of the town, and under his guidance, Dyrford soon began to prosper. He expelled the last of the Scanites from the area and drew new settlers with the offer of land, a trick he had learned from someone he otherwise preferred to forget. With each passing day, Dyrford would come to more closely resemble the Gilded Vale of Adair's childhood, the one worthy of its name. When the dust settled in Sun and Shadow, Aloth looked upon the remains of Theos Ixarchanon, his former master. He saw where the Grandmaster had gone wrong and what would be required to undo the harm Theos had wrought.
Oh, I
With a
forgot.
flick of his wrist, he burned Theos's robe, headdress, and every other symbol of the man's power. Never again, he vowed, should Kith live in fear and blind obedience to an authority they did not understand. Armed with the knowledge and courage he had gained on his journeys with the Watcher, he set out on the long and lonely task of dismantling the Leaden Key. With the Watcher's goals accomplished and his own vows fulfilled, Kanorua sailed back toward Rawatai, thinking on the lessons his travels had provided him. By the time he landed at Tekoa, he understood what his path must be. Standing before the Lore College, Kanorua explained that the tablet he sought had been destroyed, and so a true interpretation of the Tonvi Oratoa could no longer exist. The people of Rawatai would have to create their own. He described the many strange things he had seen in his travels, and announced his intent to pursue the accumulation of knowledge abroad, seeking answers to new questions. True to his word, Kana soon set sail on yet another expedition, and in Tekoa, his passionate accounts inspired many to follow in his footsteps. With Theos defeated and the souls released from Sun and Shadow, healthy children were born once again in the Dyrwood. The grieving mother sought a place where she might do penance for the birthing bell. She returned to Dyrford, where, to the astonishment of the villagers, she delivered the first healthy child in over a decade. She remained there, and with each new birth, she saw a measure of hope restored to the Dyrwood and a measure of grace for her own troubled past. Durrance used Magrin's strength only until Theos had been cast from the world, and then swore off her influence entirely. Regret came to weigh heavily on his mind, and a man who had never previously lacked for words or opinions came to embrace silence and contemplation. He continued to wander, penniless and destitute, searching now not for the reason for his goddess's silence, but for a mechanism for revenge. The charred robes he continued to wear as a reminder that he had been burned by his goddess, and not just by the flames of the Godhammer. Sagani experienced the 4 months of her journey back to Masuk in vivid colors. She strove to memorize every moment of her final trip through the Dyrwood, Erglonfoth, the Valian Republics, and beyond, preparing to tell her village of what she had seen on her long journey. All of Masuk shared in her triumph, and she felt her pride and elation magnified by the joy of her village. Never again did she doubt the value of her sacrifices. After decades as a long hunter, Sagani finally became one of Masuk's most respected elders. She guided her community with wise counsel, and a generation after she finally passed, another huntress journeyed into the world to find her soul. For
Fantastic.
you,
I really
the
like
death
Sagani.
of Theos brought an end to your waking visions, and a silence to the whispers of the past. In their absence, you were able to sleep. The questions of a distant lifetime ceased to trouble your soul. All that remained was what to make of the answer. But at the moment, there was little to be done, and the matter would have to wait. A long journey loomed ahead.
Is that it? Ooh. And this is the credits and the end of the game. That is Pillars of Eternity. It was fantastic. Like, this game was brilliant. Took a long time to get through, but I really, really liked it. Where to start? Let's start with the endings. I really liked how it kind of gave you an ending for each thing, and it was kind of open-ended, which is good, because apparently some of the companions are coming back for the second game, which is, I think just went through Fig a couple months ago, which is kind of like Kickstarter. I backed it, by the way, so I will be playing that when it comes out. But yeah, Pillars of Eternity 2 is going to have a lot of this, or a few of the same companions, so it's cool that there's a little bit of interconnectivity. I believe you can play as the same character as well, so that's going to be weird going through, because a lot of companions, their story ended here. Like, it ended at the end of the game. So it's interesting seeing where we're going to go from here. Anyway, without speculating, let's think more things. The end of the game was cool. The final fights, even with the difficulty turned up, were not difficult at all. They were super easy. But I suspect that might be a little bit because of the sword that kills vessels in one hit. Maybe I think there might be another stage of that fight we're meant to go through, but still, it seemed very easy. We were pretty high level as well, though. We were as high level as we could be. I would have liked to have seen a Loth in the end, actually, now that I remember he's part of the Leaden Key. Kind of forgot that. That's one of the problems with playing it over such a long time, the game being so long, you forget like little things that were part of the start of Act 2. I mean, it's not a little thing, but it was the start of Act 2-ish. Middle of Act 2? It was somewhere in Act 2. So, it's been a while since that kind of came to the forefront. So it could have been cool to have him there. Grieving Mother still added a lot of cool stuff, though, which is neat. I really liked all the different companions. They all seem to have their own story. They had their own bit. I liked how they leveled off on their side so that you could actually switch them in and out. That was all very neat. DLC-wise, just to talk about that a little bit, I think there's a lot from the DLC that I can see where they've learned lessons from the main game. Like, the bit with Theos at the end, or the bit where you had to select options. It's like, choose this, choose that, choose this, choose that. They did that a lot better in the DLC by putting it into this kind of vignettes, where you had, is that the right word for it? I don't know. Anyway, where the bits where it pops up with with the text and the picture and all that sort of stuff. I think those were a lot better. That was a better way of doing it, because it had a little bit more urgency, a little bit more pacing. It could throw quick choices at you a little bit better that way. While the other one was kind of like the conversation mechanic, and it was a little bit slower paced. But anyway, I think I prefer the way they were doing it in the DLC, and the DLC had its own problems, but I think they're going to fix it for 2, and that's why I'm really excited for 2, is because I think that between the main game and the DLC they learned a lot, so they're going to learn a lot between like the end of that DLC and the next game. So I'm interested in seeing where they go with that. In terms of pacing for the game, I would like to put a criticism here. The start of the game is real slow, like real slow. Until you beat Raedric, it's really slow. Like it is glacially slow. It's just, I don't know. It seems like the start of the game, like right at the start, the bit where you're going in and you get the Bailwick and all that stuff, that's real quick. Then you get to Gilded Vale, you got a little bit of action, then it just kind of slows down, and then you beat Raedric, action, and then it all slows down again, and it goes quite slowly. I think that if it had a little bit more action, or a little bit more things pressing you forward, it would have been cool. And talk about things that could have been slightly improved. The Caed Nua and the Stronghold mechanic, it kind of sucked. It wasn't good. It was just, once you had enough money to build everything, the mechanic was over. There was no nuance to it. It was, once you build everything and once you have the best people in every position, you could just take over. Like, you were there. You finished what you needed to do there. It also had a little bit of a problem with the prisoner mechanic. There was nothing to it. It was just like, you now have prisoners. Good job, you. It didn't really resolve it in any way, shape, or form. It just kind of went through and was like, hey, you got some prisoners here. Whatever. Not like, it didn't really do anything with them. The Endless Paths, talk about things in Caed Nua, that was cool. I liked that it had a combat-centric place. Like, a lot of the game had like conversation things, and you got through things through conversations. The Endless Paths it had some conversation, it had some lore, it had some talking, but it was very much a combat-focused area. I liked that it had an area that was just like, okay, Are you bored of going around and talking to people for an hour at a time? Come here, do some combat. There'll be a little bit of talking, a little bit of back and forth, but it'll be like quick back and forth, fight them. That was pretty much the way it went for that area. I liked it. I also like the Vithrak kind of being in there as well as their own little mini story and how that connected into the DLC. I liked how actually the DLC connected into the main game in more ways than you would suspect. I'd be interested to see if any of the DLC characters had an end game thing. Oh yeah, talking about DLC characters, it went over Devil of Krok, it went over Manea, it didn't go for Zawa. Zawa didn't have an ending in his one. We didn't do a quest for him, though. Yeah, Zawa didn't have an ending, or, like, I don't think he had a full quest, either. I don't remember him having as big a quest as Manea or Devil of Karok. Maybe he did. Maybe I'm missing something. I can't think of it off the top of my head, though. Maybe, yeah, maybe he was just maybe he was an extra character. It was kickstarted, I think, this game. So maybe he was an extra character at the, like, he was the last tier unlocked or something. So maybe it didn't quite... Like, they hadn't fully fleshed him out. That's still fine. Yeah, the Kickstarter characters, there's something we can talk about. They're, they were interesting. They're not going to be in the next game, from what I know. So, like, because there wasn't, like, a reward in the next game for adding them. So, there could have been more done with them, but I understand they wanted people to just be able to say, like, here's the story for my character, I'm just going to send it in, kind of thing, rather than it being a anything more than that. I think they got to send in stories. I don't know. I didn't kickstart the first game, so I don't actually know how it went. I think it was sending in stories, but it could have just been that they said a character, that they set, like, a character name, and then Obsidian made the stories. And if it was that case, then I don't see why they couldn't be integrated, so it must be they create the stories. Anyway. Yeah, there was also apparently some of the lore, some of the random lore bits, and some of the, like, plays and things you find, I think were written by Kickstarter characters. Kickstarter backer people. So I'm not sure whether that was a main, like, whether that was how much of the lore is actually going to continue from that, but that was cool as well. I kind of liked how the game went with its story. It wasn't really that outrageous. It was kind of, you know, it was a lot of kind of general fantasy stuff, left you with questions, that kind of thing. But it was good. It kind of kept you going. I think that the main story was maybe not the most interesting part of the story. I think the main story was a place where the companion stories could play off of it. I think that was where it really shone. Like, it was a... talking of Kickstarter, there's the gold level backers, but it was like the companions interacting with the main story was a lot of stuff. The side quest interacting with the main story. The main story like your choices in the main story and the side quests affecting other side quests. I think that's where the main kind of brilliance of the game kind of came out. It was a lot of interconnectivity and a lot of everything having a little bit of meaning. Like, there were some choices where, like, oh, that won't matter, and then it does come back later, and it's like, oh, actually, this affected this thing, and now this person has this opinion on you. And, yeah, the reputation system was also cool. Would have been nice if it could have been used more. It kind of got ditched after, like, end of Act 2, start of Act 3. They just didn't use it, and I don't think they maybe used it once in the DLC. I can't remember any other ones. But then we didn't have all the reputation. We only had honesty as, like, our high reputation, so not sure whether there was anything else in that in terms of, like, whether there was some cool options. What I would be interested to see is where the main changes in the game come from, like where the main choices would change. It would probably be in the ending, like in the epilogues would probably be different. I'm wondering whether you can get like a totally different ending where you and Theos hold hands and skip off into the distance kind of thing. As I think there is a way that you could twist that so that you work with Theos. You probably don't have the final fight, and you just work with them and just end the game. I'd be interested to see if that was a way you could have gone. Because it seems like those options were there, but I'm wondering if it's like the illusion of choice. But because it was so close to the end of the game, it might have actually been something you could have done, which would be neat. It's like, actually, I don't want to fight the final boss. I agree with them. We're going to go and do that. But then that would have huge consequences for Pillars of Eternity 2, which if you can bring the same character across, and I believe you can, unless I'm misremembering something, I believe there is some way of bringing him, or like bringing stuff across from this game to that game. So I'd be interested in seeing whether like how they handle that. They could do a, I mean, they have some of the same companions coming into it, but they could do kind of a Knights of the Old Republic 2 situation where it's like, yeah, it's like 15 years later, things happened, but they're not directly affecting the world or the bit of the world that you're in. They're not like, things happened and they have obviously caused consequences across the world, but they're not like what the actual things that they did doesn't matter. Like, it's the fact that something happened and, you know, it's caused something else to happen, and then that's the big thing you look at. So that could be cool if they go that kind of route. Yeah. They could also go something like the Mass Effect route, where it's just like, yeah, story's not really going to change that much, but we'll throw in a little Easter egg now and then to show you where things are going. So, yeah. I'm interested also in seeing what companions they bring back. I know that Edir and Aloth, I think, are coming back, which kind of makes sense. I would be surprised if you got some like Grieving Mother coming back, because I think that her story is done. Sagini as well, her story's kind of done, but I could see... Well, no, because they said Sagini died in the epilogue. But maybe they'll retcon the epilogues as well as another option, because they probably wrote those before they were sure they were doing a second game. I don't think any of the DLC characters will come back, or if they do, they will have to reintroduce them. Someone like Zawa maybe might come back. Manea, actually, I believe it's being set in kind of the islands around the Archipelago region or something like that. So it could be that Manea comes back, because he's, I think, Rauatai's in that region. So that could be cool. Kanea then as well would probably have a chance of coming back. Heravius probably wouldn't, although he was journeying, so he could. But I don't think it's going to focus on that. I think it's going to focus on something different than specifically the Iguithan kind of Glenfathan area. I think they've explored that, and they're going to explore some other part of the world next. Who else did we have as companions? I've forgotten all of them. There must be someone I'm forgetting. Palagina could come back. I think she does, actually. I think I've seen her picture in one of the little like press releases things that they've sent out. So that could be cool. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else we could say about this game. Basically, it's a lot of Kickstarter backers, so I am gonna fill in time because I like to talk till the end of the credits at least. Apart from the start of the game being slow, it was also difficult. I feel the difficulty of the game was a little bit off as well. Maybe it's the difficulty level I was playing on, but I played on lower difficulty and felt the same thing. Like, if you weren't playing optimally in this game, you got fights could twist so quickly. Like, there were fights that were so easy in circumstances, and then fights that were really difficult. You just change one little thing, easy. I think there's a lot to do with the RNG rolling kind of mechanic of them. And that wasn't really that well explained. Like, it was explained. You could go and look at it, but it wasn't... I had to go and look at the wiki and get, like, a proper explanation, like, this is how it works, kind of thing. Like, for things like deflection and trying to get that truly understand how it worked. And, like, you could play it on really low speed, pause after every single round of combat, look in the bottom right-hand corner and use that log. I feel that's not the way the game was meant to be played. The log is there to just be like, if you are having trouble with like a specific enemy, look in the log and see like, okay, I'm not doing a lot of damage to this, maybe I'll twist up a modal or something like that. But it didn't seem like it was really... Like, it seems like there needs to be a better way of showing things. I'm not sure how better to show dice logs than a dice log, though. Or like dice rolls than a dice log. Maybe just, I don't know. Maybe if there was like a status thing, like you could turn on, maybe this person is attacking stuff, which they are immune. Like this person is immune to some of this person's attack, or something like that. This enemy is weakened, or is weaker to the attack you're using. Just something like that, maybe. I'm not sure how they would show that on the UI. It's quite a difficult question. Probably why it was just answered with a dice log. And why most games go for dice log if they have these kind of things. Try to think of a better way. Maybe a truly turn-based system could have worked, like a Divinity system. And I actually really do like Divinity's system, to talk about another CRPG, like in terms of it having set turns, because it lets you play the same kind of combat but know exactly what's going on. It wouldn't really work for pillars in the way they've set it up right now, though, because one of the big features of it are things like recovery speed, interrupts, and attack speed. So if you had a turn-based system, you would have to somehow have like half turns in it. Be like, no, this person attacks has an extra fifth of a turn because their attack speed is 20% higher. So it wouldn't really work in that way. So I can see why they wouldn't have done it that way. Yeah, not entirely sure how they fixed that problem. Anyway, yeah, talking more about the game. Places I liked in the game, I guess, would be one. One of the bits I really, really liked in the game was Defiance Bay. I felt Defiance Bay was quite well done. I kind of like that in game, the kind of quest hubby bit in a game. I think that it was done quite well. It gave you a lot of different quests, all went into different areas. It gave you 3 different factions you could align with one. Or I think you could align with none of them as well, although I think that it kind of forced you into it for Lady Web. I'm not 100% sure if it would have forced you. But it seemed like it was going to be like, you need to gain one of these guys' favor to get an entrance into the Duke's chambers. But yeah, it did kind of, I liked how it gave you some options. It didn't necessarily tell you until right up to the point where you needed the favor to get into the Duke's chamber that you would need to do anything with these factions that you were getting stuff with. It just said, here's some factions, deal with them. Go see how it goes. So I liked that. I also liked it had kind of, it was, here's what's going on in the city, but you also have a main quest, and the main quest is obviously more important, but you need to go and help these people in the city because you need their favor for a reason. Which I guess gave you a good reason to do the quests themselves. It also, yeah, the Gilded Veil bit of the game, I don't think I like the exploring the wilderness part so much. Like the go out and here's some lions, and then you kill the lions. It's like, okay, here you go, 1 experience. It's like, okay, that could have been done a little bit better. That part of the game, like exploring around the different areas of the game, would have been better if the areas were more interesting. Again, I have said this before, the DLC makes it a lot better. Like the DLC having having the different areas, it had a few random enemies, but the enemies would maybe talk to you first, or they would be there for a specific reason, or it'd be like, here, like, here's an person that needs help from another enemy in the area. Enemies would move in and out of the areas as quests progressed. That kind of stuff, I think, made the areas seem a lot better. They were also smaller, which I think worked out a lot better. I think having smaller areas with more in them is always better in terms of gameplay. Like, Dragon Age Inquisition had the same kind of problem, where it had very large areas with things in it. It was much worse in its problems, I will say, in that it had large areas, and it was like, yeah, there are a few quests here, but there's also some random enemies around here, and it's like, yeah, but if you just made the area smaller and more contained, it had more interesting stuff in it, would have been better. Yeah, there were a few points like that. Some of the quests also weren't entirely clear about where it wanted you to go, which I guess was a point, but like some of the quests were a little bit too unclear. They were a little bit too like, what do I do with this quest? None of the main quests were all very clear about where you're going. But things like Sagini's quest, where it's like, you need to go here. Then you had to leave at the perfect side of the map to get over to unlock a new area. It didn't quite work. Like, I feel like that could have been done a little bit better. I feel like discovering new areas from a map, maybe it should have been once you arrive on a map, you can see all the new areas from it, and then you have to leave from a specific part. So if they still want you to walk through the area, you can still walk. You still have that, but you know you have a clue about what's nearby. That sort of stuff. Or maybe it was like if you could do something like if your survival was high enough, you would find out more areas that were nearby this main area. And that could have been cool. Something like that. Something that would give you a way around the quest rather than just, hey, I need to go to the side of the map and hope that there's a new area here. If there's not, you then close the map, walk to the next area. It's a little bit clunky. I feel it could have been done better. But again, I'm picking faults. This game was very, very good. I'm actually going to speed up the credits just a little bit here. Yeah, 4 times there. Because there are a lot of Kickstarter backers. There are a surprising number of Kickstarter backers. I know this made a lot of money on Kickstarter. Yeah, I didn't realize quite how many people actually, like, look how many people back this. This is kind of huge. This is really a Kickstarter success, isn't it? It's a game that did really well on Kickstarter, and it was a niche game, and people enjoyed it. It did well enough for them to want to do a sequel. I mean, again, they are crowdfunding it, but I think that works well for a game that's this kind of narrow in terms of what people are interested in with it. Like, there aren't that many people who would buy this game if it popped out of nowhere. But Kickstarter, you get people invested. I think that's cool. Anyway, I am going to end the series here, I guess. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, again, thank you for watching. It was a long series. I'm glad that you enjoyed it if you did. Yeah. Well, that's about it, really. I'm going to turn this off, and I will see you when the sequel comes out. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.